is the newest film in the John Wick franchise, a franchise that is honestly one of the best action franchises ever. It's easily up there with Mission Impossible in its consistency and ability to also always kind of bend the boundaries of action in terms of set pieces and choreography. And with this film, I was very excited because I am such a big fan of the franchise. And I was excited to see this world kind of fleshed out a little bit more with this new character and Ana de Armas taking on the role as she so greatly does here. After we got to see her in No Time to Die, where she does a lot of action, it was very exciting to come and see her flesh this out in a much bigger role where she just truly is being an action star the entire runtime of this film. And while I don't think her character gets quite a ton of emotion or chances to really showcase her ability at acting and showcase kind of how interesting this character maybe could have been, it really doesn't matter because you're going to these films for these big action set pieces and all of them are so spectacular and she nails them 100%. I think there was some concern going into this film for the fact that it was reshot actually quite heavily. Apparently there was 3 months of reshoots where Chad Stahelski had to come back and fix a lot of the stuff, make it feel more like John Wick, as this was actually directed by Wiseman, who previously had done a lot of the Underworld films and wasn't quite familiar with the world. And all of those reshoots and the changes that they seem to have made seem to be pretty flawless here because this still 100% feels like a straight up John Wick movie in all the best ways. Now, while I don't quite know where I stand in terms of how this ranks within the rest of the John Wick films, it feels like perfectly in line with there in terms of quality and what it does in terms of action and stunt set pieces. This film continues in that John Wick lineage of constantly having incredible set pieces that are actually super creative and original, and this has to have some of my favorite in the entire franchise. All the action continues to be very well choreographed, all fully shot in camera. There's a lot of longer takes. You're seeing all the action just like you want to see with these John Wick films. What I really like though is that when there's these choices to make certain sequences super creative and inventive, they all feel like they fit specifically with the Ballerina character. They're not sequences that maybe we would associate with John Wick per se, but they feel specific towards the character, and that's what makes this film actually really stand out. Ana de Armas is really fantastic in this role. It's, again, one of those characters that perfectly lines up with the John Wick world, where a lot of the action is done through action. There's not a lot of dialogue, and while I think at times maybe this film actually needed a little bit of breathing room because it feels a little bit too relentless on the action, even though the story isn't great, she nails all of the more dramatic sequences, and then once we kick right back into the action, even though maybe there was a second where it's like, okay, like, we don't have a second to breathe on this, it works perfectly because all the action is so good and she's so good in all of them. When you can tell it's actually her, just like you can when you see Keanu Reeves doing the John Wick action, it just makes it so much more exciting, and she truly nails it, and this really is a non-stop action movie in all the best ways, and I really love this movie for that. In terms of story, it is a little bit bland and generic. It's something that you've seen quite a bit before when it comes to action movies, especially in terms of the revenge tale that we see here. And also especially when it comes to the fact that we've literally seen the revenge story many times within the John Wick universe. It does feel a little bit bland in that sense. The film also clearly tries to have a couple subplots to sort of add some nuances to the story, and they really don't work. A lot of them actually kind of feel cliche and weren't necessary, unfortunately. But then at times they actually do kind of have enough story elements that push the story forward and make sense of why these certain action sequences are happening. And so in that regard, I think there are some creative choices on the page that actually work really well. And a big part of that is actually how they have John Wick fit into this film. This is set between chapters 3 and 4, and I think the way that they use Keanu Reeves' John Wick is actually really effective. He's not overused to where he takes away from the story or the main character of Ballerina at all, but he also does add a little bit to it, and it's always going to be exciting to see Keanu Reeves step into the John Wick role again. These are also some of the films that actually have very good cinematography that you don't often get to see in big action blockbusters really anymore. They're super colorful, there's excellent lighting, excellent shadows, everything looks incredible, and that's even when it's in the more action set pieces. Like, yes, you're seeing it in these big wide-scale shots, everything looks really well choreographed, but at the same time, everything is being lit very well, all the set pieces are incredible, and I think what's really important in all of these films is how great the production design is. You really get a good sense of the sort of globe-trotting assassins in the world, and everything just looks really great. On top of that, Tyler Bates returns to do the score for this film, and it just kicks ass as always. And when you're hearing his score go along with all these crazy action sequences, it's just an adrenaline rush for 2 hours straight in all the best ways. So yes, to a degree, this does have a pretty bland story that for some it may really bother them, but I honestly found this to be such an enjoyable action film. Perfectly aligns with the John Wick franchise in all the best ways. You're getting so many creative choices in terms of how they're shooting action and also just the sequences that are playing out. All the set people, the stunt people, they all do an incredible job. This is one of those films, again, that you especially get with the John Wick franchise where you just want to praise all the stunt people because of how great all their work is in this whole film. So overall, Ballerina easily works as another film in the John Wick franchise that overcomes its bland story with incredibly creative action sequences that are all very well choreographed and shot. The film looks great, it's got a great score, and you just got Ana de Armas killing it throughout the whole time. She's so good in this role, she kicks ass the whole time, carries the whole film. And that is why I'm going to give it an 8.4 out of 10.